Apple's first foldable iPhone Ultra is reportedly back on track for a September launch. And if the latest leaks are accurate, mass production is just weeks away. But behind the hype, there's one tiny make-or-break detail that could decide whether the foldable iPhone is a blockbuster or a disaster: the hinge. According to new supply chain reports, Apple has now locked in the key specifications for the foldable iPhone Ultra, including the display, chassis, and critical mechanical components. Trial production has been running since April, and the device is said to be moving into full-scale mass production in late July, with Foxconn assembling the first wave of units. If everything goes according to plan, Apple's first foldable iPhone will be ready for a high-profile unveiling at its usual September event. That launch timing is important. For months, insiders and analysts have been divided, with some claiming the iPhone Ultra Foldable had slipped into 2026 or beyond, and others insisting Apple was still targeting a 2025 launch window. The latest information leans firmly toward the optimistic side. The foldable iPhone Ultra looks set to headline Apple's biggest hardware moment of the year, but while Apple has reportedly finalized the overall design and internal layout, one component has been causing real headaches during testing: the hinge. Early durability tests pushed the hinge mechanism through millions of open and closed cycles, simulating years of real-world use. The good news is that the basic structure appears to hold up. The bad news? Those tests expose subtle but worrying issues. According to sources in Taiwan, engineers noticed slight noise developing in the hinge after extended durability testing, and in some assembly runs, the tolerances were looser than expected. That led to a higher defect rate than Apple is comfortable with at this stage. On paper, slight hinge noise might sound minor. But for Apple, and especially for a premium foldable iPhone Ultra that is expected to cost roughly twice as much as a standard high-end iPhone, details like that matter a lot. Foldable phones already come with an obvious trade-off. You get a much larger display and a compact form factor, but you also add a complex moving part that can fail. If customers are paying ultra-level prices, the hinge has to feel rock solid, smooth, silent, and built to last. Apple has been thinking about this hinge problem for a long time. Back in 2010, well before the first mainstream foldable phones appeared, Apple secured worldwide exclusive rights to a zirconium-based alloy specifically suited for high-stress components like hinges. That move signaled that Apple expected mechanical durability to be one of the defining challenges of future devices. Now, with the foldable iPhone Ultra, that long-term bet is finally being tested. Foldables from other brands have made big improvements, but they've also shown how badly things can go when hinge reliability isn't perfect. Creasing, crunching, looseness over time, and even catastrophic failures have all made headlines. Apple has watched that play out from the sidelines. If just a handful of early foldable iPhone Ultras are seen failing in the wild, a hinge that becomes noisy, loose, or misaligned, it could trigger a controversy on the scale of Bengate all over again. This time focused on a product that's supposed to represent the ultimate iPhone. That's why the hinge is so central to this story. Internally, the message from the supply chain is that most of these issues have now been resolved. Engineers have reportedly ironed out the worst mechanical, tolerances, and noise problems as they move from trial to mass production. But mostly resolved might not be good enough for Apple's first flagship foldable. Expectations around a foldable iPhone Ultra are sky high, not just because it folds, but because it carries the Apple logo and the Ultra branding. The stakes are huge. The foldable iPhone Ultra isn't just another model in the lineup. It's Apple's formal entry into the foldable smartphone market, a space currently dominated by companies like Samsung, with its Galaxy Z Fold and Flip series, and Google, with the Pixel Fold. Apple is late to this party on purpose. Its entire strategy has been to watch the market, study every failure mode, and then arrive with something that feels more refined, more premium, and more durable than what's come before. To justify a rumored price tag that could reach roughly twice that of a top-tier non-foldable iPhone, the Ultra can't just match competitors, it has to beat them. That means a hinge that can survive millions of folds without grinding, clicking or loosening, a seamless folding experience that feels premium, not fragile, a design that balances thinness, battery life, and durability without obvious compromises. Reports suggest that Apple has now signed off on the final design of the foldable display and outer casing, which means the core hardware look and feel is locked. The phone has moved into the pre-production ramp phase, where Apple and Foxconn test their ability to manufacture at scale, refine assembly processes, and drive down defect rates before full-volume manufacturing begins. This staging is crucial. Trial production, which has been underway since April, is where Apple discovers precisely the kinds of hinge noise and tolerance issues that have been reported. These are the kinks that must be smoothed out before July's mass production window. Every improvement made now directly affects how many flawless units Apple can ship in time for a global September launch. From a market perspective, the launch of the foldable iPhone Ultra is also a signal about where Apple sees the future of the iPhone line. A successful debut would instantly place Apple as a heavyweight in the foldable category and reassure investors that it can still create entirely new high-end hardware tiers. It would give Apple a fresh way to upsell its most loyal customers, the ones already willing to buy Pro Max models every year, into an even more expensive Ultra tier that offers a fundamentally different form factor. But that also means Apple can't afford a misstep. The company is asking its audience to accept both a much higher price than even the most expensive non-folding iPhone, and a more complex mechanical design with an inherently higher risk of failure. The only way customers agree to that trade is if the engineering inspires absolute confidence from day one, and that brings everything back to the Hinge. If the latest reports are accurate, Apple has spent the past several months iterating aggressively on that single component, tuning tolerances, refining materials, and working with its supply partners to eliminate the causes of hinge noise and excessive variance. The message now is that those problems are mostly under control, and that nothing uncovered during trial production is serious enough to derail the September launch window. So, where does that leave the foldable iPhone Ultra? As of now, the picture looks like this. Launch window. A September unveiling is still the target, lining up with Apple's traditional iPhone event. Production timeline. Trial production began in April. Mass production is expected to start in late July, with Foxconn handling the initial wave. Design status. Apple has finalized the major specs: display, casing, and core mechanical components, and moved into pre-mass production preparations. Hinge situation. Durability testing revealed slight noise and higher than expected defect rates tied to manufacturing tolerances, but most issues are reportedly resolved, with no major obstacles remaining. Market positioning. The iPhone Ultra is planned as a high-end, likely ultra-premium foldable iPhone, expected to cost around twice as much as a top-tier non-foldable model, making hinge reliability absolutely critical. Apple has waited years to step into the foldable arena. With the foldable iPhone Ultra, it's not just launching another smartphone. It's making a statement about what the future of the iPhone could look like. If the hinge holds up and the launch goes smoothly, this device could redefine the ultra-premium smartphone category. If it doesn't, even a handful of failures could overshadow the entire story. For now, all eyes are on late July's mass production ramp and Apple's September event, where we may finally see the foldable iPhone Ultra move from years of rumors and leaks to an actual product you can hold and, crucially, fold in your hands.